Hey guys, welcome to the Service Hub, where we talk about tips and tricks for your service business success. Today we are especially stoked. We have our guest on the line who a lot of you guys may actually be familiar with him from the homeserviceexpert.com and A1 Garage Doors. Maybe heard his story a little bit, but we got Tommy Mello, and we're super excited to have you here, Tommy. How's it going?
It's going really good. It's very, very hot in Arizona.
I can imagine, man. What's the temperature out there? Like plus 100?
120. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What in the world are you doing out there? Well, so to give you guys a little bit of heads up, if you don't know who Tommy is, so he comes from the garage door industry, ran that business, built it up to, a $30 million home service business, has a great story there, from kind of the rags and being in debt to coming out on top and being really successful. And we're excited to hear some of that story, as well as the homeserviceexpert.com. He has his own podcast that you guys should definitely check out, the Home Service Expert podcast, similar to what we do here. But we're just really excited to have Tommy and learn more about his story and things like that. So Tommy, tell us a little bit about where did you get into the service industry? How did this all start for you? And kind of give us a little bit of your backstory, because it's super interesting.
Yeah. It's cool to be on. I really appreciate it, both of you. It's, it's super cool just to get exposure and share the story, because, there's somebody out there that I aspire to be, and there's someone out there that hopefully I've done some few things right.
Yeah.
That, might want to do some of the things I've already done. So it's always good to give back. So I started out, I was painting garage doors. My roommate was answering phones. My other roommate was a service tech. And then the one that was answering phones says, "Hey, we need a lot of doors painted. Can you figure it out?" And I said, "Sure." They gave me $100 a door. I was bartending. I had a landscaping business. I mean, I was making amazing money considering this was 2005, 2006. I would knock out 10 doors on a weekend. That was $900 profit. That was just on a Saturday. Go bartend that night, knock out $400 to $500 that night. The next day, I'd flip a couple Bowflexes. I'd buy the Bowflexes on Craigslist and sell them on Arizona Republic. It's been right. So I started buying Bowflexes. Then I started buying total gyms, and it wasn't. There was certain times where I'd have 30 or 40 Bowflexes in my backyard because I kept buying them. And some days I'd sell 4 of them. Some days I wouldn't sell any, but I kept an ad running in the newspaper. And that was just my hustle, man. And then I slowly got into garage doors. I didn't put a lot of time, energy, and effort into it. I said, this is kind of cool. Started my own thing with a partner, 2010. Kind of took on the debt, and he went his separate ways. We're still best friends. And I started learning about systems and processes and checklists and software. And it really, I got to tell you guys, it's changed my life. It's key performance indicators and just really understanding what business is all about. And I can apply it to anything right now. So that's kind of the short story of where I came from and where I'm at today. And, like you said, we're well over 30 million. Really like to hit that 100 million here in the next 2 years. Starting to train a lot of people. And like I said, I wrote that book that you were talking about that spent some good money on to get it done, but finally finished it and happy with the outcome. So
that's awesome, man. It's so inspiring. So I mean, I don't know if I told you my background at all. I'm in the service business industry. I run a mobile bike shop. So just super unique, right? Totally different. So even for myself, just hearing somebody to go from where you were at to where you're at right now, like that's awesome. So
that's cool, man.
Stoked to learn more and to understand like some of your secrets, I guess, and what, like you said, systems, processes, whatever you're doing to really apply good business principles to help people, serve people, right, and make some money while you're at it. So. Right. I'm curious. Trevor, do you have any questions? No?
I was just thinking about, so on your website, there's like this little article and it talks about how, you were sitting there, just trying to keep up with the business, $50,000 in debt, and, just kind of struggling. And now we're hearing this success story. And I think to myself, okay, like Tommy, if I were to ask you, for the guy who's sitting there listening to this and he's in his office, cranking out, maybe he doesn't have the AC on because he doesn't want to have to pay for it. And he's just like, he's just barely holding on to life. Like what would you say is like one of the first implementable things that you did that really helped you to shift? Because you talk about systems and processes. Like what were some of those things that really helped you, and what can you say to that guy with his AC off right now?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, when you start out a home service business, if I could go back in time, I would have saved more money to do it, because don't go into this thing completely broke. Most people come out as technicians and they decide I'm going to be my own boss. And we have way too many technicians that are owners and not enough business smart people that are owners. So I don't think there's too many companies out there. I think there's too many technicians that became owners without the right qualifications. Totally. So when you think about a technician, they go, well, I could do this. I'm the one that talks to the customer. I'm the one that does the repairs or the installation. And they think they could just go out and they see the money, which is the dream, but they don't see the bills. And a lot of times they don't pay the bills to get licensed and pay Uncle Sam and do the things that they're supposed to do right. And one mistake, one car accident, one bad thing changes it. So I'd say cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure you're in business to be in business and figure out your why. I talk about the stuff and your why. You know, I used to listen to my mom and dad argue about money when I was a kid, and they got a divorce and it was kind of messy. And I just decided that I wanted to be in control, but at the same time, I'm not married and I don't have kids yet. So I have a lot more time available to work nights, weekends, stuff like that. But if I would tell somebody today, here's the deal. Look at your software you're running your business on. Your software is everything. Your CRM is how you're going to know your call booking average, your average time on job, your conversion rate, your average ticket, how your marketing's doing, your average time on hold. Every single thing, it all starts with a good software. And then from the software, making sure you're giving it good data. And then making sure you're letting the data make the decisions for you. You shouldn't go on a gut instinct. You shouldn't go based on a whim. The software will lead you to the answers you seek. And then, well, I'll let you guys ask after that because there's more into that. But
I mean, I'm actually kind of curious. You bring up software, CRM. Like, what I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing or not. Like, what are you guys using to manage A1 Garage? Is it A1 Garage, right?
Yeah, A1 Garage or Service. We use Service Titan.
Service Titan, cool. So Service Titan helps you guys manage all of those KPIs and all of those metrics that you kind of need to know in order to know the overall health of the business. You know, do we need to push more sales? Do we need to push more marketing? Do we need to hire people? Right? That's kind of what you're getting at, right? Yeah,
every single thing is the ecosystem of the business. Now, yeah, do we do more than Service Titan? Absolutely. We use a thing called Bird Eye. We use a thing called Power BI. It's SQL Server. It talks to the system and it gives us analysis that Microsoft Excel takes 15 minutes to do.
Yeah.
We could do this in a split second because it's built all in Microsoft. We use another thing that we built, spent $250,000 on called Simulator Pro. It talks to Service Titan. So we've actually got 5 builds that are built on top of, and this is not out of the box. This is like a bunch of customization to be able to do what I would like it to do. And Adam and Brian and Luke and some of the people that work here. And then we worked on compensation programs for everybody that they had skin in the game. So
I love that.
There's no merit here. You don't go from 12 to 13 to 15 to 20 because you've been here so long. You start at a moderate rate if you're a manager, $45,000, but you could pretty much easily hit the 200% mark. So that's $135,000 because you get the 200% of your base is 90 plus 30, 45, which is 135. So
you guys put in some sort of result-based pay structure for you guys as employees. Why do you guys do that? Just curious.
Well, now they got skin in the game. There's a good book called it's called A Stake in the Outcome. And stake in the it's I got it on my bookshelf here, but
we'll put it in the show notes.
The deal is, what kind of behavior are you trying to get? So I'm trying to book phone calls. I'm trying to make sure there's no internal mistakes. I'm trying to make sure they're here on Mondays and Tuesdays so they don't call out. So that's part of it. I'm looking at what shifts they work. So this is just CSRs. Dispatchers are a lot more complicated, but I don't want to cancel. Every one of my jobs have a priority ranking to them, P1 through P5. So we came up with that. And then I don't want to lose P1s or P2s because those are important jobs. So the dispatcher has control of moving jobs around, rotating things, apologizing to customers, rescheduling for tomorrow, giving away a free surge protector. But while at the same time, they want to make sure that Tom Brady's playing in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I got to make sure my top guys are running the best opportunities. So when I'm dispatching, I Google Street View their house. Okay, they got 4 garage doors. I don't care that it's a small job because it's in the most richest neighborhood in Arizona. They've got 4 of them. And I do a lot more. See, I go to Zillow. I find out when the person bought the house. I actually have some tools that I run their credit before we get there. I mean, we do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But we think through the whole process to really set our guys up for success. And I say guys just because we haven't had any women technicians yet, but I encourage it if they would come apply. I would hire them.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So it gives you guys some skin in the game, motivates them to do their job right. You're tapping into, what did you call it? Their behavior. Like, what's the end result? What's the behavior we're trying to motivate?
Where do I win when they win? Okay, where can we both win? Because here's the deal. Like our review system. Right now we're getting 550 to 600 reviews a month. But what I'm launching is Power BI's talking to Bird Eye. And then when they take the customer with their iPad and they show them, look, you get a Facebook share, you get a Facebook like, you get a next door, you get a picture, you get a sign in the front yard. I've got guys that'll do all of it. They'll get $25. Now that $25 is split into 3 ways. $8 to buy A1 swag, $8 as a cash bonus, and $8 to go out with your field supervisor team. So they're bonding, team building. Wow. And guess what? If I have to pay out max, I mean, everybody does all of them on every job. I'm going to spend $95,000, but that's 45,000 reviews a month.
Wow.
And it's all over the place. It's on Facebook. It's on the BBB. I mean, it's Google, Yelp. It's the places you want to be. And I could always sub those out and change them because they're used to asking for them now. Totally. And then they say, heck, I win when I do this. I win because they get, guess what their signs have? Guess what their business cards have? A call tracking number. We have 3,900 call tracking numbers. Each one of their business cards has their own personal. They make $50 if they get a phone call from that and it gets ran.
No way.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So you're taking like everybody in the business, helping them think, of the overall health of the business. I think that's one thing that's hard is in any business, people become siloed and they're like, dude, as long as I get my job done, like I'm good. I'm good. I'm just going to pass this thing. Like it's kind of a piece of crap, but it's cool. It's done. I'm passing it. But like when you have that mindset of, I get to look over the whole health of the business and everybody's the CEO. That's amazing.
And I get rewarded for my actions, every action, not just for my technician job. Like
right.
All the other little things that we ask our employees to do, but they don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome. No, it's super powerful. And I think the biggest thing, I mean, we talked about this with Joe Cunningham. Like you got to give your employees some reason to stay with you guys.
Oh, none of my employees leave. You talk about there's no attrition here whatsoever. And tell your podcast what happened when you talked about Joe. This is fun.
Yeah, like it really is. It's so simple. You got to give them some reason to stay, right? And like,
I just met Joe Cunningham's in the other room right now.
Oh yeah. Joe Cunningham's in the other room right now. That's right.
Isn't that crazy?
That's how
in Arizona,
right?
But that's like, I mean, if you guys are listening to this, like, Tommy understands the importance of keeping good people working for you and keep them happy, because he's going to make more money and he's going to solve more people's problems and help more customers if his employees are happy. It just
they're my internal customers.
Yeah,
so take care of your internal customers. But now here's the secret. This is the secret sauce that most people miss. Is a lot of people give a bonus program. Mine is either or. So my CSRs, it's $11 an hour in Arizona. You either make 11 or the bonus program, whichever is more, which I can't get below 11. So a lot of my CSRs that can't make it past that 11, they quit. But the good ones could make $30 an hour. So they could handle, there's a thing, if you write it on your board, write 1A equals 3B. 1A player is better than 3B players. They'll actually put out a better outcome. They'll make more money. They'll be happier. And they'll get 3 times, a little bit better than 3 times the results of those 3B players. So when you keep that in your mind, and you think about it, it really changes the whole time. You think quit replacing seats, replace those with the right people in that seat. You need a lot less of A players. And I take a handful, Steve Jobs once said it, I'll take a handful of A players and put them against dozens of B and C players, and this team will win every time.
Totally. I think one of the temptations is with how it's so competitive to try to get a technician in the service industry. I mean, especially like we've been talking to a lot of people in HVAC, and people are fighting tooth and nail. They're training them internally. They're doing all sorts of stuff to get these A players. And so it's a big temptation to say, oh, I've got a player. He might be a B or a C player, but I've got one. I'm going to keep him because it's so scared.
We used to have a fog test. If you could fog a mirror, you got a job. We hired out of desperateness. We needed somebody. So what we do now is we just hired a full-time recruiter internally. And their job is literally, here's what you guys got to think about. How can I be different? So I started thinking about this. Yeah, we want to be on every job board out there. We want to go to every single opportunity where there's going to be our perfect avatar. But if I'm I go talk to bus boys, bartenders, anybody in the hospitality industry. Then I talk to the hotels, different places like that. Then I call up all the coaches, hockey, baseball, football. And I say, hey, I'm not looking for any 17, 18-year-olds now, but you probably know the classes 5-6 years ago. Let me send you some information about A1 Garage Doors. We give insurance. We give a way to move up to management. We're a growing company. We're looking for great people to make a great, great living. And usually they've got good names and they're athletic. So that means they're competitive too. Yeah. I mean, you got to start thinking outside of the box, and you got to really go get these people. If you think they're going to land, you think an A player is the most amazing thing for your business. And so many people, if I had to tell you right now, I'm going to buy your business, but I want you to fire every person that's not a perfect A player, but I'll give you 20 times the valuation. Think about how many people you'd have to fire. You go, well, my mom's okay, but she's.
That's true, though.
But I could tell you, I've got a lot of them. I've got more than I've ever had, and I could say I'm a smart guy, blah blah blah. But that's not the case. It's because I've got the smartest team ever. They do an amazing job. There's checks and balances. They're rewarded for the right stuff. They're happy when they come in. We've got an employee of the month. We had 2 of them last month. We've got our employee newsletter. We've got a Polaroid to take picture catching somebody doing something right. It's fun now. Like you walk into work on a Monday and you're not like, man, I want to slit my throat. You're like, this is cool. What's going to happen today? It's kind of cool to catch up with my friends about the weekend.
Yeah, I think that's really creative. I want to like highlight again the fact that where you find some of these people. You look at the qualities and the characteristics that you want in an A player. That's like,
and then we train
athleticism. I didn't even think of that. Or the fact that, they're used to being coached. If they're on a team, they know how to take feedback. They know how to do that. And so, coming from a standpoint of like, okay, where's the character and what are the types of quality of people that I want, whether they know how to fix a garage door or an AC unit or not, like where's their character? And because we can build with character, but it's hard to create character in somebody,
Look, here's what I want with a technician. This is funny. I'll do this quick. I want a good looking guy because they got to be presentable.
Yeah.
I want someone that's got good, doesn't stink bad. They're not all tatted up in their face with, tongue rings and overspirits, because that's something they got to overcome with the customer. Then they got to be good at sales because they got to be able to smile. They got to have confidence, tone of voice. And the way that I square up with you is important. Then they got to be good technically. Then they got to have a good driving record. Then they can't do drugs. Then they can't have a bad background check. So we're looking for these people. And I'm telling you, everybody's like, man, these millennials, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, man, I love them, man. They've never been burned. They don't have this chip on their shoulder from their last 2, bosses that kept them like, they didn't treat them right. So you get these younger guys, they're competitive, they're fun, they laugh a lot, they haven't been burned. And it's like, whoa, I could teach them. We've got a really good program here to teach young people. And I very rarely want somebody that's been in this industry, because then you got to unteach them, and that takes longer than it does to teach somebody.
Yeah. Man, I want to come work for you. That's awesome.
I have fun doing this stuff, and I'll tell you, Joe's a smart guy. I mean, I take these guys. Al Levy, he's one of my coaches. I read a lot, so I'll show you guys something cool. You guys will be shocked. So, do you guys do anything with Audible?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm a big Audible book listener.
That's bad, but you can figure it out.
So for those that aren't don't have video, what did you just show us?
The Audible titles in my Audible account, $7.79.
$7.79. You need to buy one more book, man.
I need to be at that 780 mark. Yeah. Here's the deal. This is a book you guys should read. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yes.
And don't just read it. Study it.
Yes.
That book will change people's lives. You got to think about it. Read it 10 times a year.
I love it.
Because you can't remind yourself enough. People want to talk about themselves. Learn to smile. Smile with your internal customers. Smile with your external customers. Smile at people you don't even like. Learn to genuinely be interested in them. Call them by their first name, because people love their first name. I love Tommy. I mean, I heard that name since I was born, and it's important to us. So the stuff in this book could change somebody's whole outlook and change their luck in a good way.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a key principle in anybody's success. If you look at any coach, any successful person out there, and you look behind the scenes, guaranteed they've got 10 to 15 books on their nightstand, or if they're not on the nightstand, it's on their iPad or their phone. They've got some book that they're studying and reading right now, and that's powerful. So if you're not reading a book right now, read a book, find a book, whatever it is.
Dale Carnegie's book's probably in that stack of 15, I swear, almost every.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I use that book all the time. I love it.
Leaders are readers, and if you add up the 5 closest people to you and put up 20% of their income, or you try to, so if I added up, let's say we all made $500,000, there's 100 of us. Chances are I'm with 20% of that median number. But when you add people like Steve Jobs and some of these amazing people, you could actually take their income and add it to those totals. So it's a secret that not a lot of people know, but the more you read, the more you kind of pull yourself away from this indoctrination we have around our friends, family, neighbors, the people we hang out with all the time, to get out of that circle, to start thinking differently. We need to put ourselves back. And most of us, we don't have a lot of money to go to Jamaica and just party and meet new people. So we got to read as much as possible and put ourselves in that mindset.
Yeah, super powerful.
There are a lot of powerful mentors out in Jamaica. Tommy, is that what you're finding yours? I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tommy, I'm kind of curious. We're coming up kind of close on the end here, but one of the questions I always love to ask people, even if I'm just meeting somebody on the plane or a customer I'm working with personally, I always like to ask people, if you were to go back 5, 10, 15 years ago, what would you do differently? If you would change anything, what would that be now that you have the knowledge that you have now?
Well, the first one was read a lot more. The second one is I became so good at hanging out with the people that I aspire to be. Hence Joe Cunningham being in the other room waiting for me right now. Mm-hmm. I flew him into town. I asked him a billion questions. He was more than happy to help me, because he said, hey, this younger guy, not as young as you guys, but this younger guy wants to squeeze everything he can out of me. And what I would say to myself is, look, really find the people and make the extra effort. You know what? It's a $200 plane ticket to go see them, and ask them, have a bunch of questions. And genuinely, when I met Al Levy for the first time, I had a journal. And I literally pulled out the journal. He goes, Tommy, you're the first kid or guy or whatever, first business owner that I've ever seen write down everything that I've said. He was so impressed. And if I could go back in time, I would have said, buy a journal, genuinely ask people sincere questions, write them down, and actually show people that you're genuinely interested. Even your employees, even your customers, when you say, oh, wow, you like your neighbor's door? I'm going to make a short note of this, the garage door. We'll go take a look at it later. Oh, I didn't know this. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Write down they're from Ohio or whatever, because that way next time when you're getting it installed, be like, hey, I brought you something from Cedar Point or whatever. Something, they're like, in our minds, we can't really equate. Where did I tell him that? How does he? But if you take notes, it's very powerful stuff. So taking notes and genuinely go to where your role models are, and make an effort to be there, and don't give up. Trust me, a lot of us are busy, but the tenacious people tend to make a way to get into this door, and they do it all the time.
So tell me this, Tommy. I want to follow up with that. one of the phrases that me and one of my mentors, Richie Norton, and then also my dad, we always toss around this phrase that, people will send an email that says, "Hey, let me pick your brain." And we always laugh. We say, "Hey, brain picking is for zombies." And I appreciate my brain. So no, you're not picking my brain. Like I don't want some like little scammy email from somebody just like, "Can I pick your brain?" Like what would you say to the person who's aspiring to maybe, sit down with Tommy Mello, for example, or Joe Cunningham or somebody else and say, "Hey, how do we outreach and be genuine and show that we actually care and that maybe we're providing some value, and so we're not just picking brains"? Like what's the approach, or what's helped you?
Well, there's certain ways to communicate with people: text message, email, cards work really well because if you write a nice card. But I'll tell you, show genuine interest in them. So listen to all their podcasts, maybe watch some of their YouTube videos. Show that you've done your homework on that person and say, wait, this person went to a lot of effort to watch all that, and they're a big fan of mine. And when people feel like you're a fan, or you've got fans out there, they tend to take the time to like, oh my God, this is cool. I kind of owe it, paying it forward just to do this. So it's important, I think, to really do some research and not just say, hey, I heard. Well, that's actually another good way is to ask people like Joe, because when he gives you a reference, it's like, oh, Joe. Okay. So now they kind of feel like they've got a mutual connection. So those are the two best ways, but just don't go sending people a random email and saying, hey, I heard about you through the grapevine, wondering if you do this. Say, hey, I read your book. I love numbers, page 68. It was one of the best tips. And page 97 was even cooler because I actually worked on that yesterday. And I'd love it if we could just catch up for 10 minutes. I wanted to give you an idea that I've been working on. And if not, I understand. But, if you're ever in this place, but then follow up. See, the key is I teach people build rapport, educate, and follow up. So many people fail to ever follow up.
Yeah. Follow-ups in the fortune, or your fortune is in the follow-up, right? And then when it comes to mentoring and building relationships, I think the real relationship is in the follow-up. The real bonding is in the follow-up, and not just like to get the conversation, but even after, I feel like is really important. Send them a note after you talk to them. My grandma is like the best at this. Anytime we come over and I've had a conversation with her, seriously, in like 15 minutes after we leave her house, she'll send me a text and say, I really enjoyed talking with you today about this. I love you.
Yeah.
I missed you. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. And that just means so much to that person. And I think that's powerful. So, yeah.
And it's created a system. We talked about this earlier. I'll end it here, but there's a system that people take all these classes and read these books on business, but here's the deal: create a system, whether it's cam card or send out cards, or there's a million different ways. I love the book Blue Fishing. I'm actually got Steve Sims coming on my podcast, but really doing things in a systematic approach to make sure you don't forget. Have a checklist to say, hey, here's 10 people. I got my Google Calendar open on this other monitor and saying, hey, who am I reaching out to today out of my friends and family? Right. And if you make 15 minutes on your calendar and you actually live to learn, you learn to live off of your calendar, you'll be shocked how much more you can get done in a day when it's regimented and there's a plan and you know what you're going to talk about. It's when you don't call somebody for a month and you say, oh, it's going to take a long time to catch up with them. But live your life systematically. Now change it up enough to where it doesn't always become repetitive. But yeah, no, you guys got the hang of it. I mean, just you guys are going after the right guys, getting the right people on the podcast and asking the right questions. So congratulations on what you guys have been up to lately.
Hey, well, thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Well, we're coming up on our time here, Tommy. We really appreciate your time and just your thought. And, for our listeners, if they want to learn more about you and what you're up to, tell us where they can find a little bit more about you and learn more about you.
Yeah, so the Home Service Millionaire, this is this book. It's just came out on Audible. Been getting a lot of great feedback from that. Obviously, the Home Service Expert, got a lot of great people coming on there. I'm actually got like 20 people out. I'm thinking about going to 2 a week because they're so good. These people they've done something that a lot of people haven't done before in their business. So we're starting to get a lot more. And then I've got some bestsellers coming on. So Yeah, so those are the main two. And then if you're in the garage door industry and you want to come check out our building, a lot of people are checking it out, not in the industry, but it's really cool to kind of see how more technically we've gotten technologically advanced for the garage door industry. So I'm not here to brag. I'm here to say, look, this is cool. Let's learn from each other. If you got any good ideas, we'll take them, and vice versa.
I love that mindset. It's abundance. It's an abundance mindset, and I think it's awesome. So appreciate you sharing.
Guys.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Tommy, and we'll definitely share your podcast and put some of those links in the show notes for you guys who are interested in his book or his podcast, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Take care.
You guys.